So my plan of not having a plan isn't really going to plan. Normally when I come out to take photographs, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know the exact composition that I'm going to start with. But today, I've come to High Dam near the village of Finsthwaite in the Southern Lake District, and I have no plan whatsoever. It's an absolutely beautiful morning this morning. It's very overcast, but it's very, very still. And that's sort of perfect conditions for an area like High Dam, which is really all about shooting the reflections. And from this point where I am, there's a beautiful shot looking towards the island in the middle of the reservoir. But I'm not going to take that shot this morning. It's because I've taken it on two occasions, once in colour and once in black and white, and I'm very happy with those shots. It's actually slightly better light, and in the colour one in particular, there's a little bit of mist, which just creates a little bit of separation between the island and the background. So I'm not going to take any shots today. What I'm actually going to do is spend a little bit of time looking around, trying to find something new, something that I haven't photographed before. And the thing is, I have absolutely no idea what that's going to be. I think this is actually a really important process to go through, because as I have improved over the years at my photography, I found that the big vistas, they're less of a challenge. They offer less of a challenge for me. And I think it's inevitable that as we improve as landscape photographers, we do end up looking for more intimate shots, ways of expressing ourselves in a slightly more unique way. I think High Dam is really good for this approach to photography. It's a reservoir high up in the hills, and it's surrounded by woodland. There's a lot of coniferous trees here, but there's also some birch and some oak. So there should be plenty of scope for more intimate shots. And this is actually the location where I got one of my favourite intimate photographs that I've taken in the last couple of years. I'm not on my own this morning, I'm with my mate Phil, and it's Phil's drone footage that I've been able to use in this video today. So thank you for that, Phil. But I wanted to make sure that Phil got a shot of those reflections. So after we'd finished messing about, we ran back and Phil got a shot. And then I walked back over this bridge that I crossed a minute ago. And to my left-hand side, I noticed this little scene here. We've just got this little stream, whatever it is, brook, beck maybe. And it's got some lovely reflections of the trees around it. And I felt that that made quite an interesting frame. And so I'm going to grab this shot, and hopefully that's going to take the pressure off a little bit and I can feel a little bit more relaxed about the rest of my morning. Now they do say that the best laid plans of mice and men oft go awry, and it was fully my intention to come out here with no plan to try to get something a little bit more intimate, but I could not resist taking a shot of the island. It was from a slightly different location, slightly different angle, and I was able to get a bit closer to the island. That's important today because it's a bit of a dingy old day, and when you're shooting subjects that are a distance away from the camera, you lose some of the contrast. You lose the blacks. Now the weather forecast for today was rain this morning from about 8:30. It is 8:30 now. And would you believe it, for once the weather forecast is actually bang on the money, and it has just started to rain a little bit. Now we picked this location specifically because we thought it was going to rain, but if it gets really heavy, we may have to end up cutting this morning's photography short. I'm not even going to pretend that I've never looked at these trees, never photographed them before. I've stopped here a couple of times. I've never quite got a shot that I'm happy with. I've never managed to get it as balanced as I would like. But I've got a shot set up here. I'm just focusing on the trees, and I've got these two in the middle that I'm going to try to use as my primary focal point for the image. And we've got a bit of a flat sky today. It's not particularly interesting, but there is a little bit of texture in there, so I should be able to bring out a little bit of detail. So my plan of not having a plan isn't really going to plan. So far I've taken 2 shots that are very similar to things I've done before, and one that at this stage I'm not really sure about. But I do have a little bit of time still until I get back to where I started. So I just got to keep my eyes peeled and see if anything leaps out at me. I'm going to look at the back of your camera.
So I'm just thinking.
So Phil, you do this kind of thing quite a lot. You do a lot of kind of woodland, kind of a lot more intimate stuff because you're not here in the lakes, you're based in Cheltenham.
Yep.
So do you have any kind of tips for finding more intimate compositions?
Yeah, I think for me, it's about noticing what's around you, really.
Uh-huh.
So what I find is actually really good is just to stop and look around you.
So when we were walking earlier, we were walking just past so much, we were missing so much. So
Yeah.
you're saying sort of stop and just take some time to look.
Yeah, and maybe just look back as well
Oh,
from
look,
where
okay.
you are. Have a look around the area and just take a little bit of time just to settle into where you are, really, Chris.
I was just walking along there and I was going very slowly, trying to keep my eye out for things that caught my eye, as it were. And I spotted these 2 trees here. I always look out for these kind of V shapes. And this one, we've had a lot of wind in the lakes over the last couple of months, and this one's actually snapped in half. And I think there's a real strong story element to this, and I think it can be very difficult to bring stories into landscape photography. So I always try to keep my eye out for little things like that help to have a little bit of a narrative in the image. So I think this is going to be my last photo of the day. So as predicted, the rain has got heavier and it's time really to start thinking about packing up and heading home. But I've really enjoyed myself this morning, even though things didn't quite work out as I had planned or not planned, as the case may be. I still really enjoyed myself. And it's been an interesting exercise for me because I think this is the approach that is closer to what normal people would do. So I'm in a very privileged position that I can plan my shoots, that I can research my locations, that I know exactly what I'm going to shoot when I come on location. Not a lot of people have that luxury. So this has kind of put me back in touch a little bit with the way that other people approach their photography, and I really enjoyed it. But if there's a takeaway from this video, I think it is this: if you are going out to take intimate shots, something a little bit more creative, something a little bit more unique, you really have to trust your eye, trust that your eye catches things that really interest you. And in order to do that effectively, you're going to have to slow down and take your time.